Y'all know the military has had some traditions that would get most people in the civilian world in trouble. Matter of fact, some of those old traditions would get some military people in trouble right now if they were to try them. So today we're gonna dive into 6 different military traditions that range from things that happen every day to some things that were officially banned and you can't do them anymore, but maybe still happening. The first one I want to talk about is the grog bowl. And this is something that can happen at formal military dinners. I was doing some research and I found out that this all started with some British admiral who accidentally created the grog bowl. So in 1740 in the Caribbean Sea, there was a British vice admiral named Edward Vernon, and he had a problem. All of his sailors were getting sick from tropical diseases and they were staying drunk off of straight rum rations. They were drinking all the rum. So he made a decision to piss every sailor off in his fleet. He made it to where all the rum on the ship was mixed with water. 4 parts of water to 1 part of rum. So the sailors hated it. They were pissed off. They started calling this watered down rum after the admiral's nickname, and the nickname was Old Grog. And he got this name because he would always wear this distinctive coat made of rough grogram cloth. I don't even know what that is. But apparently they would go around calling him Old Grog. So then you fast forward about 300 years and that admiral's name lives on in the military right now in all these formal military dinners worldwide. So today, if you attend any formal military dinner, whether it be a dining in, dining out, maybe a unit ball, anything like that, you might see a grog bowl. And these grog bowls aren't 4 parts water, 1 part rum. These grog bowls are disgusting actually, depending on which one you go to. Basically, they bring out a toilet. It's a clean toilet, a never been used toilet, hopefully. And then you get to bring whatever you want to put into this grog bowl. Now, if you go to like a sophisticated dinner, then they're gonna say, okay, we're only gonna allow y'all to put like liquor and juice and stuff like that. We're not gonna let y'all put any weird stuff in there. But some of these grog bowls, they let you put whatever you want, like hot sauce, like a slab of bologna or something. They let you throw whatever you want into this grog bowl. And then they set a bunch of rules at the dinner. You're in your formal uniform and everything, looking all nice, looking all pretty, but you gotta act accordingly, because if you break a rule, they're gonna make you get up and go drink from the grog bowl. So like if you talk when you shouldn't be talking, or if you don't tap your glass with a spoon as an applause, they're gonna make you get up and go drink from the grog bowl. There's all kind of different rules. And the drunker you get after drinking from this grog bowl, the more rules you start to violate. So you can get pretty toe up by the end of the night if you don't adhere to the rules at one of these formal dinners. I've been to a couple of them. I used to see people get in trouble on purpose so they can go drink from this grog bowl. Now, the likelihood of this happening, it really depends on your unit. It depends on your branch of service as well, because not everybody still does grog bowls, but depending on where you are, it may be a current tradition, a strong tradition that they still carry on, but I wouldn't say that this is one that you're guaranteed to see. Now we're gonna talk about a tradition that's officially banned from all military branches in the United States. In 1997, the NBC Dateline broadcast some footage that ended a bunch of Marines' careers. The video shows something called blood pinning, and it's pretty brutal, y'all. So basically, when the Marine would complete their 10th parachute jump, they would earn their golden wings. And these pins have about 2 half-inch spikes on the back. Traditionally, they get thumped into your chest, 1 punch, draw a little bit of blood, handshake, you're done, congratulations. But according to this retired Marine, he said the blood pinnings have been going on since the early 60s, but over time what started as just like a single ceremonial punch evolved into something darker. The tape showed the Marines standing against the wall while others had violently twist and grind, and they would just do whatever they wanted to get these pins into their shirts, and they had these blood stains all over their white t-shirts. And this scandal ended up destroying careers. Based on the 1991 incident alone, you had 1 mastery gunner sergeant and 1 captain who were recommended for discharge, and then 9 others got written reprimands because of this. But here's the thing, the Marines, they couldn't use normal military justice because too much time had passed between these incidents. These tapes, they found them later. So instead they used administrative action. No statute of limitations, no protection against self-incrimination. And so the Marines who thought they were participating in tradition suddenly were faced with career-ending consequences for events that happened years earlier. So today, these blood pinnings are essentially dead. And I say essentially dead because you never know, but they are officially banned and career ending if you get caught doing one of these blood pinnings. Most units, they do like spirit taps now, like or symbolic of the blood pinnings, but nobody's actually pinning you anymore. Even for like stripes in the Air Force, when you used to wear stripes on your sleeve, and when you would get a promotion, people would hit your arms. Now, because of the new uniforms, you wear your stripe in your chest. Nobody's going around punching people in the chest. It maybe, but it is something that can get you in trouble. So now we just kind of give the little spirit tap, like, congratulations, man, good job. But what happens when you take the most formal military tradition ever and deliberately destroy it and turn it into something else? You got these military dining traditions that go back to medieval night feasts, and these are these elaborate ceremonies designed to reinforce the hierarchy and proper conduct. And for centuries, military dinners were about control, order, and discipline. But after Vietnam, you had troops coming back from Vietnam, and they were coming back from these combat zones. They started asking questions like, why are we practicing formal etiquette when we just spent months in a jungle during warfare? So some of the units decided to mix the formal dining in with an informal kind of combat dining out. So they kept that formal dinner structure, but they added a twist, and you would come dressed for war. So basically, you take an old uniform, you can destroy the uniform, cut it up however you want. You could wear face paint, you could wear helmets, you could wear whatever you want and look like you're ready for war. You go there and they start doing all kind of crazy stuff, whether it's water balloons, water guns, start squirting everybody. It's just designed to boost morale, have a good time, not be so formal as the formal dining ins. It's basically saying we can be warriors and gentlemen at the same time, and we can respect tradition while acknowledging that war changes everything. Now here's a tradition that went from one guy's act of rebellion to basically an annual event that thousands participate in every single year. In 1967, you had a Vietnam War Colonel, Robin Old, and he was a fighter pilot ace. He had 11 kills, he was a legendary leader and respected by everyone. But even though he was this respected pilot, he also was fighting another war against a bunch of top military leaders. While his pilots were getting shot down over North Vietnam, the higher ups and headquarters kept sending memos to him about uniform regulations. They kept saying that hair length, shoe shine, and proper mustache etiquette needed to be enforced. So Oates was frustrated. He's like, my pilots are dying, we're out here fighting, and you're worried about shoes, you're worried about mustaches? So he took this and he went and grew this handlebar mustache. It was so epic, it violated every regulation in the book, and he wore it with pride for months. When the higher ups, the commanding officers, they finally confronted him about it, they say he had a choice. He needed to comply or he would face the consequences that could end his career. So he did comply, he shaved it off, but by then it was too late. Every pilot in Southeast Asia had seen the photos of him, they heard about everything that had been going on, and the message was clear. Sometimes rebellion looks like facial hair. So today you may see this mustache tradition come in several different occasions. You got Mustache March, you got No Shave November, you got people who deploy and they grow out their mustache as long as they can and shave it off when they come back from their deployment. So this mustache is pretty popular. It's really the only hair you can grow like that. Like, you can't grow a beard unless you're on a waiver, of course. So people kind of express themselves through that mustache. You get some pretty badass mustaches too in March and in November. So I've even been in units where they have competitions to see who can grow the best mustache, and they give awards and stuff like that. And social media has also made it popular. You'll see people posting their mustaches online. So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool tradition. But the most successful military tradition, I believe, is one that happens constantly, and today is probably more popular than it's ever been. In World War II, in the European theater, American fighter pilots had a problem. You had German spies who were infiltrating Allied units, and they were using stolen uniforms and forged papers. So the question became, how do you prove someone is really on your side? So the solution that they came up, it was slick, it was elegant. They had created these secret coins. So pretty much each squadron, each unit, they got their unique medallions, and the only way you would get them is if you were a member of that squadron or of that unit. So you didn't have any papers that you could forge, no uniforms to steal, you just had a piece of metal that proved that you belonged. So then with these spies, if they didn't have it, they would know that you were not really part of the unit, and then they do what they do with them. But the pilots started doing something unexpected with their coins. They started challenging each other to produce them at bars. So basically, they slap down their coin on the bar, and as soon as they slap down, you have to pull out your coin and show them that you have one. And if you did not have a coin, then that means you would have to buy everybody drinks at the bar. So today, that tradition has exploded. You have chiefs who have their own coins, you have leaders, you have colonels, you have squadron commanders, generals, all these people who have their own coins. They get their own coins created. You even have units who have their own coins. There's so many different coins. The coining business is booming right now. Like if you create coins, that is a business because so many people have their own coins. Even for the Air Force, when you graduate basic training, you get your first coin. It's called the Airman's coin. That is indicative that you graduated basic training. So there are so many different coins to be had, and people trade them with each other, and some of these leaders hand them out when you do something good or something extraordinary. As far as people challenging you for coins like they used to, slapping coins down at the bar and making you buy drinks, I don't see that as often anymore, but that is still something that happens. Also, if you were to drop one of these coins, if one of these coins was to fall on the ground, that would also make you have to do something. Usually buy drinks for people. Now, if you go into one of those American Legions or one of those VFWs, you better have a coin because they probably still in there challenging people with coins every day. I'm just not a big coin guy. I got all my coins in a Crown Royal bag. I know somebody's probably upset with me, but just not a coin guy. And finally, there's a tradition that's still common today, but it's more regulated than it used to be. This one traces back to the most famous military operation in history. On June 5th, 1944, hours before the largest invasion in human history, American paratroopers were making final preparations. They were checking their weapons, they were reviewing maps, and writing letters at home. And then they grabbed razors. They started shaving mohawks and applying war paint, anything that they can find to make themselves look like warriors from a different century. The command didn't order this. They did this themselves. They did it because they were about to jump behind enemy lines in the dark, outnumbered with minimal backup. So psychologically, they thought that they needed to become something other than ordinary soldiers. The result? The German reports describe savage warriors who seemed to appear from nowhere. The haircuts work, not just for intimidation, but for confidence as well. And today, this tradition, it never died. You still see people in units buzzing their heads when they get on a deployment. Not so much mohawks anymore. This is more like just a buzz. They just kind of cut off all your hair. If you try to fight, they're gonna try to pin you down. They'll cut your hair. At least back in the day, they used to. Probably not so much going on today. When I went in 2009 to Iraq, they tried to pin me down and cut my hair, but back then I had such good waves, y'all. I was resistant. I was like, you're not cutting my head. So I kind of broke that tradition, but this is still going on. You still see people getting their hair cut. So the military has always had traditions, but in 2020, you started seeing the military become a more inclusive force. But now the military is saying, you know what? We're going back to the old school ways. We're gonna make the military hard like it used to be. But I actually made a video breaking all of that down. So if you wanna learn more about that, I got a video on the screen right now telling you all about it. But like I always say, I hope this video brought value to you. Stay beautiful, stay classy, and until next time, check me out.